it's Jennifer from Flux. Welcome back to the 2019 Flux Temperature Blanket Crochet Along. We have come such a long way. It has been a long year of making squares, joining them together. We've used our handy guide for the colors. I've seen so many gorgeous blankets in our groups, on social media, in Ravelry, and I'm so excited to be wrapping this up. Now, I will say it's not the end of the year. We're all probably still adding some squares. I am definitely adding some more squares onto mine. However, I wanted to give you this tutorial before the year ended so that we could all have this, so when you're ready to do your border, you'll have it. So therefore, I made a little sample. This is my little tiny sample temperature blanket. My large one is still being worked on. But I thought that this would be a really easy way to just quickly show you how to do the border. We're going to also tackle this. So you probably have a lot of this yarn spaghetti happening on your own blanket as well. Whenever you have join as you go projects, whenever you have multicolor projects, you're going to have lots and lots and lots of yarn ends. Here is a tip. I've probably said this a million times on this channel, but save all your yarn ends, because through the year in 2020, when you work on your crochet projects, you can use these to stuff pillows, little stuffies, and amigurumi and things. So these do not need to go to waste. Or you could make some yarn art. So if you make yarn art, share that with us below. We would love to learn all about what you create with your yarn ends. We are going to be using the same eye hook and the same yarn. I am going to create just a granny border, a very, very simple granny border, and we're going to use the same colors. Now, you can pick your favorite color out of here. You can pick one or two colors. You could just simply do the join as you go color. Mine is white. Some of you have done black. One person did aqua. That was a really fun blanket. You can use your join as you go color and just kind of frame it in. But it really does give a sense of being finished when it has a lovely border all around it. So let's tackle these ends first. You might want to get comfy on your sofa, pop in a movie, because you have a year's worth of squares to attend to. Let me first say that some of these ends, we sort of wove them in as we went along. So let me zoom in. And you'll see that this yellow one here is sort of tucked in. So we wove that one as we went in. These kind you can just simply snip. Now save these as a pile for later. Here's one we wove as we went along. Just snip that off, snip that off. Let me look for one that is not. Okay, so here's one right in the middle. Grab your tapestry needle and you're just going to thread your tapestry needle. And when you have multicolor projects, stay in the same color area. So I'm going to stay in the white, because if I go and travel into this blue area, it's going to really start to stick out, and it'll look like this big white tail traveling through blue. So we definitely want to keep things nice and neat. When you spend so much time on a blanket and put so many hours into it, or any project, you definitely want to keep your finished work nice and neat. So you'll just weave that in one direction and then come back in the other direction. So now you know how to handle all the tails. Some of the tails you do not need to worry about are, let me give this a little shake them all down. See all these at the ends, all these ends, when you put your border on, we can weave those in as we go along. So the tails along the edges of your blanket, just ignore those. We will weave those in as we go along. But anything in the center like this, we need to take care of. So go ahead and take care of your ends. And then we're going to rejoin and jump right into our border. Okay, so went in and wove in my ends, snipped some other ends, and we just have the edges that have ends, and that is no big deal. So what we want to do is, I'm going to sort of stick to the colors of my sampler, the orchid, the lavender, the delft, the turquoise, the spring green, and the bright yellow. So we're going to do sort of like a rainbow effect. What you want to do for your granny border is go into any corner and insert your hook. As a side note, we're using the same eye hook. I think I mentioned that before. Hook the yarn onto your hook, bring it through, go ahead and tie it right on. This will mimic our blanket, the stitch, so it'll look nice and neat and even and uniform. So I sort of already have, because I did the join as you go in white, so the next one on my color scale is the orchid. So I'm going to go in order in that regard. So go ahead and reinsert your hook into that corner space. You can tie it into any of your corner spaces. Bring up a loop and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn. And we're going to hold that tail along the edge as we work. Try to incorporate as many tails as you can when you're doing this border, just because of the sheer size. And as you can see, I have quite a mess. I've been using this ball of yarn all year long, so it's a total mess. We're at the end of it. So what you want to do is, we did a chain 3, work a double crochet into the same corner space, and a double crochet, so 2 double crochet, and then we're going to do a chain 1, and then in the same space do 3 double crochets. That's how you'll start each round. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Now chain 1, we're going to turn our work here, chain 1, and then in that next space work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Okay, then we're going to chain 1, and let me zoom in a hair so you can see that. Now go to the next space and work the same thing. 3 double crochet. Well, it was 1, 2, and 3. Then chain 1. Every time you come to one of these tails, just start to incorporate it into your project. Okay, then what we need to do is we're going to go into, so you have your corner here, and you have a corner here, and then you have a space in the middle. We're going to go into that space in the middle, okay? So work 3 double crochet. 1, we're going to treat that like one of our side spaces. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. We have some tails here that we need to incorporate. It's no big deal, just hold them along that edge. And now we're back to the next square, so work 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, hop over to the next space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, incorporating any and all tails you find. And my yarn blob is creeping over. The end of the yarn ball sometimes is such a nightmare, but it's wonderful to be using up yarn. So, all right, and now we're at where the 2 squares come together and yarn tails. So we're just, remember, going to go right in between those squares. So chain 1, and then work your 3 double crochet, chain 1 in between those squares. So 1, 2, and 3, then chain 1, and then you got your next square, so double crochet 3 times, 1, 2, and then I have a little join here, so I'm going to get these ends out of the way and they can be dealt with on the next round. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and then we're in our second to last space here of the side. So 1, 2, 3. So now you know how to work the sides of the border. Let's tackle our first corner. Now we did a corner back here where we were starting, so it's slightly different. Chain 1, and now let's go into that corner space, and what we're going to do is 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, then chain 1, then work 3 double crochets in that same corner space. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is the beginnings of our border. So we're just going to continue around the whole square, working your side the same way. So chain 1, work your 3 double crochet in the first space, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, next space 3 double crochet, chain 1, work your 3 double crochets into the next space, chain 1, and I just wanted to show you this one more time. In between the squares, remember that space between the squares? Work your 3 double crochet, chain 1. Also keep in mind to pick up any ends like this one that you come across and incorporate those into your project as well. So I'm going to continue with my round, working my sides and my corners. Work all your corners the same way, work all your sides the same way, and once we get towards the end of this round, I'm going to show you how to kind of switch gears and switch colors. So the next color in our sequence would be this lavender color, and we're going to add that next. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Just coming up to the end here, we're going to join with a slip stitch to close. So insert the hook in that topmost chain. Remember that chain 3 we did at the beginning of the round. Bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then what you can do is if you want to add another round of this same color, you can keep going. But we're going to cut the yarn and add our next color. And I'm going in rainbow order. So the next color of our sequence would be the lavender. So I have some of the lavender over here, and we're just going to do a round of that. Now, the round that we just did is the round that you'll repeat over and over and over, as long or as thick as you want your border to be. So we're off to a great start. I'm just going to get you started on the next color, but you're just going to keep repeating this round as long as you like. Now, one thing I like to do is when you're always going to start a new color at the corner space here, we already have a tail, so I'm going to back up a little bit to the space before it. This isn't something you have to do, but it's something that I like to do, so I'm not weaving 2 ends in at one time. It sort of cuts down on the bulk a little bit. So we're just going to hook the new yarn in. Now I'm going into that corner space, bring up that new yarn, and then we're just going to tie it on. If you have a preferred method of joining new yarn or new colors, definitely feel free to do that. I like to just kind of tie it right on. So we're going to weave that in as we go, and we're just going to be repeating the same border round we just did. So bring up a loop, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're ready to roll once again. So I'll just get you started. We're going to do 2 double crochets. We're just repeating the previous round. 2 double crochet in that corner space, and then chain 1, and then 3 double crochet in the same space. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll just work the sides the same way. Now this time though, I just wanted to point out, now remember we had to go sort of in between the squares here. You won't have that here. If you notice, our top edge here just keeps going smoothly all the way across, okay? So just keep repeating that round over and over until your border is as large as you would like it to be, or as thick or wide. And I'm going to keep going in my rainbow order colors, and we will rejoin in just a bit, and I'm going to show you how to finish everything off. So I'm just joining that very last round with a slip stitch to close the round like we've been doing. And then the last thing we can do is just cut the yarn, and I just want to show you what I've done. I incorporated all the rainbowy colors. Now you could keep going, and if we look at our card, I didn't use every single one. I left out the pink and the red because I was seeing these colors together in my yarn basket, and I just loved them. So I just kind of went with what I liked at the moment. But you can see it's super cheerful. It'll pick up the colors throughout your blanket, and you don't have to take it this far. Or you could make a very, very thick border. If you didn't quite get the dimensions you want, you can really play around with that. And if you want to extend it, you can really make it as big as you want with the border. So that's how you do the border. Now the last thing you'll want to do, and of course this will take lots of time because we have so many colors, but you'll want to weave in your ends at the end. So now some of these, like we did at the beginning of the video with the squares, some of these you will have woven in as you went along, and you can just give those a little snip right at this time. But some of them, now let's find the one where we left off just now. Some of these ends, like this one, well, this one we wove in as we went along, but some of these ends here where we left off, those we will have to do with a tapestry needle. So just grab a tapestry needle, and you'll want to stay in the same color. Notice I'm staying in the pink because my tail is pink. We're just going to go in one direction and come back in the other direction. Now if you have a favorite color, you could just do it all in one color. You could just do the border in white and just edge it with one color. You could really get creative, and I cannot wait to see all of your finished blankets. Now, like I said, I'm still working on mine. I've some squares to add onto mine, and then I'll do the full border on my full blanket. But I definitely wanted to show you a sampling, and you know, this is enough information to get you moving along. And you could, if you wanted to do just something small, you could do a single crochet border, but I'm really just loving the way this looks. It's simple, it's to the point, and it really brings your attention to the center of the blanket where all of these beautiful squares are. So one more thing I wanted to mention is to please use the hashtag FiberFluxCal. And also, if you haven't yet, join our Ravelry group and our Facebook group. This is where everybody shares everything, asks questions. Really, people hop on there and ask their opinions of things like that. And also, we're going to have a 2020 temperature project. It's going to be a little bit simpler. This was a very large project, so we're going to kind of switch gears and simplify it a little bit. That will be announced in early January, probably like the second week of January, to get us a couple days under our belt so we can get started with the project. But this is the entire temperature project. We've done the squares earlier in the year. We've been adding them throughout the whole year, and then we just added this beautiful border. I cannot wait to see all of yours. This was such a fun project. So that is how you do the border, and I'll see you in 2020 for the new temperature project that's coming soon. Thanks so much for watching, and have a happy new year. I will see you in 2020. Thanks again.